everybody, this is Brian A0 from Hebrew Hearts. I'm going to do a little series in the fivefold ministry because it's so misunderstood. And since it's such a misunderstood, strange thing sometimes, I'm going to give you an example of secular terms. There's the evangelist, the teacher, the pastor, the prophet, and the apostle. If we're in a business world, the evangelist would be the salesman or the recruiter. Their job is to get people in the door. Teacher's job is the trainer. They give them the information they need. They give the staff, usually the staff, sometimes customers, but usually give the staff the information they need to get the job done. The pastor is the manages the day-to-day operations. There's a crisis comes up, he takes care of it. He makes sure the store's open on time, shuts down on time. Everything runs day-to-day operations smoothly. The prophet's kind of a visionary. You might call him a consultant. And the apostle is like an entrepreneur. They usually run several franchises. Like a pastor might run one. So the apostolic type is usually the founder of the system, or one of the founders in the region. And they go get everything set up and started. And then they leave and come back later and check on it. And they kind of manage several of these at once. They kind of mentor the people that run the franchise. The people that run the franchise kind of trickle down within the system. And the consultant's kind of outside the system, the prophetic. And they just kind of come in. They see what's wrong, what needs to be fixed. So that's the prophetic. But each of those fivefold giftings has a natural inclination. Each has a passion. Each has, of course, a purpose. And there's ways to do it in the secular. There's ways to do it with or without the Spirit. See, start an evangelist. An evangelist is a recruiter or a salesman. They usually work with people outside the church. Sometimes they pretend not like their own people. They're very critical of sometimes of other Christians or other Messianics, other believers, because they assume it's not doing enough, not focusing on those outside the church enough. And every calling has a focus. So the focus of the evangelist is the people outside the church. You get to the teacher, the trainer, his focus is the people inside the church. You get to the pastor, it's usually to keep the people in the church. The focus of the prophet is often people inside the church. And the focus of the apostle is to give people a church to go to begin with, a system to come into. So that's kind of the inside-outside focus. You focus on inside the church or outside the church. The evangelist is focused outside the church. Usually the teacher, the pastor, the prophet are focused on inside the church. And the apostle was focused on starting the church to begin with. Each of these giftings also has an inclination. The inclination of the evangelist is to be very sociable, be very likable. There are some more apostolic or prophetic evangelists that yell and scream a lot, but that's not the typical thing. The evangelist's inclination is usually to be social. They're the huggers, they're the encouragers usually. They're the extroverts. The inclination of they're inclined towards people, very much inclined towards people. The teacher is inclined towards knowledge information. Tend to be more introverted, not always, but they're much more inclined towards knowledge and information than they are people. They'd rather spend time with a book than they would a stranger. So you can tell by where you want to spend time, usually what your gifting is. The pastor, it's like an evangelist in a sense. The evangelist wants to spend time with individual people. And of course, the teacher wants to spend time with a book, information. The pastor wants to spend time with groups. Like an ISFJ could be a evangelist, maybe, introvert. But an ESFJ might be a pastor. So evangelists focus on individual people, reaching individual people. Maybe consecutively, they might pass out 50 tracts to one person at a time. But the teacher just wants his book to be left alone. The pastor focuses on groups. They focus on like a family. They want to focus on this particular family. And by extension, their church is a family. They focus on groups, families, and people groups, maybe in particular, or the local church body. They focus on the group. You you have the prophet. The prophet focuses on God. They usually spend a lot of time in prayer, a lot of time in intercession. Prophets usually spend a lot of alone time. They can have very abrasive personalities sometimes, or be very, very esoteric. And both of those make it hard to be around people. They're very abrasive and come off as rude if it's an unsanctified gifting. And you can also be very esoteric, which people think is strange. So a lot of prophetic people are also in the arts, painting, writing, music, and they don't even know what they're saying. They just have this stuff that wells up inside them, comes out from the spirit world, either good or bad, and they don't even know they're doing it, but they seem really strange to other people. And the inclination of the prophet is to be in the spirit world, to interact with the supernatural. That's their inclination. And the inclination of the apostolic person is to interact with organizations. Apostolic people often interact with governments, like you see the Apostle Paul always talking to the king or the mayor or whoever, synagogue ruler, and the business world. Like Paul worked with Lydia, who made purple dye, which is like Beverly Hills stuff, because that dye was tens of thousands of dollars for a thimble full of it. So the apostolic works with organizations and structures. So recapping that, the evangelist works with individual people usually. The teacher works with information, is inclined towards information. The pastor is inclined towards the group. The prophet's inclined towards spiritual beings. And the apostolic is inclined to work with governments, organizations, structures. So those are the inclinations. The passions are also different for each one. The evangelist has a passion for salvation, wants to get people in the door. The teacher has a passion for information, for knowledge. The pastor has an information for gathering, for pulling people together. The prophetic has a passion for inspiration. They want people to be inspired, to be motivated to change, to be motivated for new things, open to new things. Just kind of run contrary to a pastor sometimes, because pastors tend to want things to stay the same, and prophets want things to change. So there's that conflict between the pastor, like a priest, and the prophet. The apostles, they have a